Dazed and Confused Revisited. Light at the end of the tunnel, maybe. A few weeks ago, I did a musing called Dazed and Confused. I'm continuing to revisit the whole idea of Gene's second brain, or whatever the hell that means, trying to figure out how it is that I go about doing things. I figure it's hard to be productive if you don't know what you're doing. And I find myself in that state an awful lot. So this is the state of Gene's second brain version 2, which was an amazing simplification over version 1, because I had done this model from the perspective of all of the pieces that I actually used, as opposed to the kinds of things that I was doing. So here in modeling and storytelling, there are several pieces of software that I use to build models with, and each one of them was an explicit item on the map. And in terms of activity capture, there were a number of different pieces of software that I used to capture activity, even though Rome Research was the focal point of where everything was referenced. Even though that this was a simplification, I was still not happy with this, and the fact that I had several Rome Research graphs bothered me, because there was duplication in some of them, and spending time putting something in once is okay as long as it's meaningful, but putting it in more than one place seems like a complete waste of time. So I rethought this probably for a month now, agonizing over whether or not I actually made a mistake 2 years ago when I switched to Rome Research. And I've finally come to the conclusion that I did. And believe it or not, after a 23, 24-year love-hate relationship with brain software, it's back again. And I'm migrating content from I'm not actually migrating content. As I access things, it's going into the brain as opposed to Rome Research. Part of the reason is that I think that whatever it is that is Gene's second brain, it should be public. And I have things in Rome Research that I wouldn't even share with myself, let alone anyone else. And if you make it public, everything is public. And the nice thing about the brain is you can say these thoughts are private and these thoughts are public. So you can make the brain public, and people get to see the things that you want them to see. But in terms of Gene's second brain, it is now distilled down to a simple goal-seeking structure in terms of all of the activity, so that we begin with an intent. The intent might be a desired state for an interest, a project, or a level of understanding, or a situation, and trying to find a label that encompasses all of the various initiating states. And the second brain, which is primarily the brain, but there are also some things captured in Digo or Google Drive or Napkin, because they are better suited to be there for one reason or another. And the difference between the intent, the desired state, and what's currently in the second brain creates a gap, which is an impetus to do research. And research happens in a number of different places, in that I may annotate web pages or PDFs and share them for comments or feedback by other people. I develop models to better understand what I think I understand, and present them as stories to other people so that they can comment and hopefully further the understanding. I develop musings in Substack so that it's a convenient way to develop things and publish them. It's in other words, the musings are typically a short rambling about something or a rambling in a model or a video. And things are shared on LinkedIn and Twitter and Slack channels and sometimes via Google Mail. And storytelling is developed with Snagit to create YouTube videos that go into musings or models or various places and shared on social media. So the entire activity distills down to a very simple goal-seeking structure. And what became apparent not long ago when I was doing storytelling revisiting was we see, if we develop a map, we seem to think that everything that we think about has to be explicit on the map. And sometimes it's sufficient to have aspects of it described within the pieces as opposed to have all of the individual pieces described explicitly to make the model turn into a nightmare spaghetti diagram, which just confuses people and doesn't get us anywhere. I have run into this on numerous instances where if I go ahead and continue to consider what the map says, many of the explicit pieces can actually become implicit inside of other elements. If I'm going to describe to you the relationship between you and your car, it's not necessary that I describe all of the pieces that make up you and all of the pieces that make up the car. If I'm going to describe to you the beauty of the beach, describing to you the crystalline structure of every grain of sand on the beach is probably not meaningful. So trying to figure out what level of description provides meaning and what level provides overload is kind of a tricky situation, which I think I have to work on a lot more. So here's the current state of Dazed and Confused Revisited, and at the moment, I don't seem to be very dazed and confused. But that's likely to change tomorrow. Take care. Bye.